Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Is this? Ow, the mic is hot. Hot mics. Shh. Hot mics, Tiger. Good morning. Welcome to Garden America. A good visual for those on Facebook Live. Those listening to us on Biz Talk Radio, you have to imagine us touching the mics. They're hot. It's an old radio thing. Hot mic means we're turned on. We are ready to go. Tiger, welcome to the weekend. What's going on?
Do you know, mics used to get hot? And that's why they say hot mic? I mean, I know what it means, like meaning the mic is on, so, watch what you say.
Interesting term. They also tell us, from day one in radio, always assume your mic is on.
Oh, yeah,
because,
definitely.
you turn it off, but sometimes it may not be off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the industry have gotten in trouble and even fired.
Oh, I mean, politicians get in trouble all the time for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I call it a mic leak.
There's the famous scene in Notting Hill where they're shooting a movie and privately having a conversation, but they're all mic'd up so everybody else can hear the conversation. And that's the funny thing. I used to do little TV spots and stuff like that, and they mic you up, and you have to go to the bathroom. You're going to take a break.
Somebody else is turning your mic on and off.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you got to go take a break, have a bite to eat or something like that. You're mic'd up the whole time. So unless you turn it off, or unless, like you say, somebody else turns it off.
It's like in football or hockey, they'll have the players mic'd up. Now look, if I know I've got a mic on, am I going to be a little more dramatic? Am I going to play to the crowd, or am I just going to be myself and forget that I have a mic on?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So we are mic'd up for the next hour and a half or so here. Now, John is in Los Angeles.
Yeah, at the L.A. Arboretum. If you're in the area, go now.
Get there now. How come he never calls in?
I know. It's too much for him.
It's too much for him. How do I do it, Well, John, we could call you on this phone.
We should call
our guest. Speaking of guests, by the way, interesting. We're going to talk about outdoor lighting.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of a fun topic? Because it's nothing that we always talk about, and not everybody knows the ins and outs. And some people get just so overwhelmed by, what it maybe takes, because they think they have to have an electrician to install it. But the nice thing about outdoor lighting is what we call low voltage lighting. So it's not that, you're going to break fuses or, shock yourself to death. It's only 12 volts normally. What's a battery? The 9 volts or 9 volt. And you stick those to your tongue all the time, and there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, I get a little kick out of it. Now, the 9 volt, I think that's what we put in our smoke detector.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, 9 volt.
So 12 volts is low voltage
now,
lighting.
Is that something your company does?
Yeah, we do install.
This is interesting because in talking to you before the show this morning, I'm finding out I used to think there's really nothing I can have Tiger do in my condo, just based on the fact there's not a lot of property. I handle it myself.
Yeah.
And I did a little deep dive with you this morning, and I may be hiring you in a few months for something because I realized that you do more than just stick plants in the ground.
Yeah.
You do lighting. You do tiling. You do the whole. What else do you do that the average person may not think you do?
So, the funny thing about landscape contractors, okay, they get what's called a C27 license to be a landscape contractor because, with the state of California, it's different wherever you are, but state of California requires contractors to have certain licenses. So C27 is what they call the landscape contractor license. And then you have electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all kinds of other things from there. And then you have a B license, which is a builder, someone that builds a home. So the difference between a C27 and a B is very small because the only thing that a C27 and a B, difference is things regarding like certain foundations of homes and other certain building requirements because, for a landscape, you could be building a pergola or a structure, which is basically a home. You could be installing a barbecue or fire pit, which is gas lines. All considered
part of the landscape,
yeah,
correct?
You can install lighting, outlets,
but you have
plumbing,
to have different
sewer.
Licenses for that, right?
Well, no, but C27 encompasses all those.
It does. Okay.
So when you take the test for a C27, you're taking a test on plumbing, heating, gas, electrical, structure, all of that stuff. So, people don't realize it, but landscape contractors are almost pretty much just as qualified as like home builders. Now, they might not have all the experience in a home builder, and there's a lot of things that you gain after you do it over the years. But in all other premises, when you're building your outdoor patio or your backyard room, that is like building a room in your home, and they should be knowledgeable and all that stuff anyways.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I may have some work for you. I may have something just to kind of spruce things up. That's interesting.
And then
cool.
just for some other savvy notes, so when I went and got my license for California contractors, I got my B and my C27. So
I can call you for plumbing issues.
Yeah.
Tiger, my toilet's acting up. Come on over. And you'll be like, dude, no. I'm
good.
No.
I don't need that.
There's
a lot of other companies that can.
Yeah, and I use that when I'm doing somebody else's major landscaping and they're going to put a hot tub out there or a
exactly.
toilet.
Exactly.
Then I get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So we move on. John's at the Arboretum for what's going on up there?
He's doing not the rose auction, but there's a meeting. It was postponed because of the fires recently.
Right, exactly.
And so this is a gathering of Rosarians again for their annual meeting. And, what a beautiful place to put it in as far as the LA Arboretum. And I wonder, right now, a lot of things are still dormant. So all the evergreens are showing off up there right now.
I'm seeing a lot of things blooming around town, especially
starting to, right?
Boy, the ice plant that they put in several years ago on some of the slopes.
Yeah.
Man, beautiful.
Yeah,
just
full bloom. That little bit of rain.
Full bloom.
A little bit of rain, a little bit of warm weather.
Purple
boom.
flower. I think I had a late bloom in my Pope John Paul. Things are starting. They're waking up. Hey, today's March 1st.
I know.
First day of spring is what? Middle of the month?
Yep.
The exact day. Yeah, so here we go. Now, people listening to us across the country, Midwest, back east, they're thinking like, I'm under 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
And you're talking about plants and things blooming and sunshine. Now, we're supposed to get more rain this weekend. It was a little bit rainy last night. It kind of spit.
It was 33% chance last night. We didn't get any where we live. And then not today. And then tomorrow, I think, is another 30 or 40% chance. And then it starts to clear up after that. Okay. So I think it's just kind of like some areas are going to get it, some areas aren't. It just depends on where you live right now. It's not a consistent across the board.
So outdoor lighting, and what's the guy's name again?
Tori with Pampa Lighting.
And he's from Argentina.
He's from Argentina, but he lives in San Diego now.
But he moved his company from Argentina to San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny with outdoor lighting because you really only see it at night. Right, so you got to be able to, enjoy it. So you want to be able to go out in the evenings, but
you want to see it too.
When you see a home with outdoor lighting, it's spectacular when they do it right.
They do it right, exactly.
And it adds a whole new element. I have some outdoor lighting at my home, and I'm a real cheapskate and
basic.
Well, no.
You put it up in a half hour.
No. I like my outdoor, but what I'm getting at is I'm a real cheapskate, and I'm also trying to conserve. So I mean, some people have it just come on and off automatically, right? So whenever it's 9 p.m., it goes on, and then maybe at midnight it turns off. And I only turn mine on when I know I'm going to be in the yard in the evening.
So you can see it.
Yeah, so I can see it. But I wish I would be a person that just would have it come on and off, because when you look out in your backyard and I see it at night,
well, you could.
It's awesome. I could. I'm trying to be conscious of conserving energy but it also, like we said, it doesn't use a lot of energy. They're all LED bulbs now.
It's like our patio. So if I were to put lights up around the sliding glass door, which I couldn't see from the living room, right?
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that beyond our patio, several years ago, we talked the HOA into letting that hedge grow because we could see right to the parking lot.
Right.
People would walk by and look right in. So I called her up one day, the manager, and said, "Hey, can you let the hedges grow?" "Yeah, sure, no problem." I'm like, wow. And the funny part is, after our unit, they go back to normal. For the other,
they just for yours is a little
just
taller.
For ours. So getting back to the lighting, if I put lights up there, I'm not going to see it. Nobody in the parking lot's going to see. Nobody can see it unless we walked out there and turned around.
But what would be cool to do is kind of against the wall, where you look through the window. And so now you can see the patio from inside your house in the evenings. That would be a good idea.
There you go. After the pavers are done, you can put some lighting up and around there.
Easy to do.
A lot of ideas.
Easy to do.
Wow. Look at that. And we have this all recorded today too.
Yeah, exactly.
You heard
I'm
it
going
here.
to replay it for you.
You saw it. So that's what Tiger does. If anybody in the area wants to get hold of Tiger. So we're going to take a break. Let's do the quote of the week.
Yes.
Why is it a long quote? I forget.
No, I don't think so.
Why
Let
don't
me
you go ahead
see.
and do it if you can do it
Okay,
now.
you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Your first job is to prepare the soil. The best tool for this is your neighbor's garden tiller. If your neighbor doesn't own a garden tiller, suggest that he buy one. And that's by Dave Barry.
Of course, Dave Barry. That's the way he is.
It's always, it's the saying like, don't own a boat, just have a friend that owns a boat kind of a thing.
The two happiest days of your life are the day you buy a boat and the day you sell the boat. So we're going to come back. We got a lot of comments so far on Facebook Live, so we'll catch up with that. We're going to get a hold of our guest back after these messages. Welcome all of those on Biz Talk Radio, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. This is, of course, Garden America. Stay with us. Well, just like that, we are back from the break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in each and every weekend or whenever you can. 2 hours of Garden America. If you do want to catch us live, by the way, you can go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern Time Zone. Tune in, take part, and be part of the tribe, the Garden America tribe. We're going to see the light this morning. Let there be light.
Let there be light.
And there was light.
And this morning we have Tori with Pampa Lighting joining us this morning. Good morning, Tori. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Now, outdoor lighting can be a bit overwhelming for some people, not knowing where to start, how it's even involved. They think they have to install outlets all over their property to make it work.
Yeah.
But you've been doing this for quite some time now, and you've moved from Argentina here to San Diego with this industry in mind, right?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty cool story. I lived in Argentina. I was working for the company at the time, and the company was going bankrupt. So I kind of pitched to my old boss to become a partner and move to the U.S. to kind of save the company.
Uh-huh.
A week later, I was on a plane in L.A. So very scary.
Yeah.
6 months later, I bought the other half of the company, and yeah, that was like maybe 3 to 4 years ago now. So it's been quite a journey.
That's what you call a leap of faith.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally.
So back in Argentina, what was the lighting company called? Was it Pampa Lighting there as well?
Yeah. It was the same name of the company, but the way it was structured, the way we were doing all the advertising, the products we were selling. Basically, once I took over, we changed everything.
Oh, okay. And in Argentina, is outdoor lighting just as popular here as in the U.S., or is it more popular in the U.S. than it is there?
I would say it's more popular in the U.S. To be honest, I didn't even know before I started working for the company. I didn't even know like the industry even existed. To be honest, yeah, I would definitely say it's much bigger in the U.S. than in Argentina.
Oh, okay. Now let's get into a little bit about your company. What exactly does Pampa Lighting do?
So we manufacture outdoor lighting fixtures, both for landscape and architectural, and we sell them directly to contractors, designers, developers, architects, you name it.
Okay.
We sell these all over the country. We are based out of San Diego, but we ship them out all over the country. Whole business model that we have is that we don't sell to local distributors like probably 98% of our competitors. We jump over these local distributors to sell directly to the contractor or the designer. Mm-hmm. So that basically allows us to cut out that middleman and like all the profit that they make. We just pass it on to our customers as a saving.
Yeah.
So on the downside, like we're not on the shelf of every store in the country, which is a bummer. But on the other hand, we have a 98% customer return rate. So once we do connect with that contractor or that designer, they usually end up coming back for more lighting for their future projects.
Yeah, and at the same time, like you say, you might not be on the shelf, but where that fixture is, $100 on the shelf, maybe they can get it for $90 from you. And you guys are really quick about the turnaround because nowadays with shipping, I mean, you're in San Diego, but you can get an order out, and you can get it to someone within a week or so, and have it there, right?
Yeah. I mean, orders on the West Coast, it takes 24 to 48 hours.
Oh wow.
And then like the furthest, on the east side to Florida to New York, for example, it takes about 3 to 4 days. So
oh wow,
it's pretty fast.
Even quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
So let's talk now a little bit about outdoor lighting. Real quick before we get into the outdoor lighting ideas.
Yeah.
You guys sell lighting? Do you guys sell transformers and the other parts that they need as well for the lights? 100%.
We're like the one-stop shop for anything that the people need for outdoor lighting, from the light fixtures, transformers, wires, connectors, any types of adapters, dimmers, all the variants for LED bulbs, which can be a little bit confusing, with all the lumens and beam angles and all that stuff. So we stock everything. We're the one-stop shop for outdoor lighting.
Yeah, so now let's talk about outdoor lighting. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, wow, I don't have outlets all over my house. I, don't want to run power everywhere. How do you even do this?" It starts with the transformer, correct?
Yes, 100%. So most of the outdoor lighting that you see out there, especially for residential, it's what's called low voltage, which is 12 volts, which means you don't have to be a certified electrician to be able to work around it. So this can be a great DIY project, for your own home. Mm-hmm. So since these are 12 volts up to 24 volts, you need a transformer, right? So you that's what you connect to the outlet, and then you run the 12 volt cable all over the yard to do the connections with the lights.
Yeah, so
that you don't need outlets everywhere.
Yeah, and so that transformer plugs into an outlet and then from there, you're just running wire through the yard to get the lights to wherever they need to be, right?
100%, exactly.
Okay, and that wire that's running through the yard, like you say, it's 12 volts. So if you accidentally cut into it, if you, if something happens where it breaks, it's not like wires in your wall, right? It's very low voltage.
Exactly.
Not going to create like a fire or anything crazy. And then
100%.
And then you have the transformer to protect you back there at the wall too, right?
Exactly. That's exactly how it works. So it can be a great DIY project, for somebody that wants to get their outdoor lighting to their home. That you don't need to be a certified electrician in order, to do this type of outdoor lighting.
And so connecting to that wire, at some places when you buy lights, they have these little clamps at the end that connect to that wire. Some lighting, you splice the wire and you just simply connect it with waterproof wire nuts. What are your fixtures like?
So ours are where you need to splice it. Mm-hmm. That's the way that we manufacture these, as they are. That's the best way for there not to be a loose connection whenever you do the installation. Those that come with an existing clip, you're kind of taking a risk there that down the line, maybe in a couple months or two, there's going to be a loose connection. So when that happens, it's a huge pain, because you need to go out there to the yard, try to find where the problem is, do all the troubleshooting. Yeah. So ideally, the best is to splice it and do a proper connection, so you can ensure that's not going to be coming loose.
Perfect. Hey, Tori, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to continue talking with Tori with Pampa Lighting about what kind of light fixtures exist out there in the world today.
Lots of activity on our Facebook page. Any questions for us or our guest, Tori, let us know this morning, talking about outdoor lighting. And, hey, if you're a gardener, landscaper, do-it-yourselfer, then this is for you in terms of lighting, and learning a lot about it this morning. And, yeah, it is safe, and we'll learn more about that after this break. The break is for Biz Talk Radio. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. John is off today. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. All right, thank you for hanging in there. Welcome to those on Facebook Live. Biz Talk Radio, we do appreciate it. whatever's on your mind in terms of what we're talking about this morning or over and beyond, right there, if you're a Facebooker, on our Facebook page, on the comment section, as we continue to discuss outdoor lighting and how you may incorporate that in landscaping if that's what you're thinking about doing.
Yeah, so, Tori, we have one question that did come across a viewer on Facebook, and I don't know if you have a solid answer for this. But the question is there any research with outdoor lighting? Does it affect the plants at all? Like, meaning, they're accustomed to being dark at night, and now you have lighting on. Is there any effects on the landscape?
That's a great question. I've never heard that coming. I've never seen that being a problem with any of our contractors or any of our gardeners.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to confirm, but I would say no, since that hasn't been a problem in the last 4 to 10 years that we've been doing this.
Yeah, and I will say on that we're talking a very minimal amount of light.
We're talking
normal.
LED now, right, for the most part?
Well, not just like LED, but I mean, when you walk into a backyard that has landscape lighting, this is not a stadium. Meaning there's still dark spots. There's still areas where you can trip and fall because you can't see your feet. We're not talking, giant lights that are just illuminating the whole area and then staying on for, the whole night. So I think that there's usually such a minimal amount of light that it wouldn't affect. Now, I will say, though, because of people that are in areas that maybe get some frost or maybe some cold temperatures, some tropicals. John's mentioned this, and they will wrap Christmas lights around plants, and not the new LED Christmas lights,
to keep them warm,
but the old, incandescent lights, and it'll actually
halogen.
keep the plant warm, to prevent frost. So that is one way it could affect a landscape, but I don't think the light itself would affect the landscape.
It's a lot, as what you say. It's not so much, to light up the whole thing like a stadium. It's more like accent lighting to accentuate like the most important parts of the property.
So that brings us to where we were going next. What are some types of lights? What are some words that people use in the industry? There's up lights, there's down lights. What kind of lights are there, and what do they do?
So, there's a lot of different lights out there, especially now. There's being, new lights designed and, new categories created. One of the most popular lights that just started come out, are the strip lighting. Those, strip lights, or some people call them the rope lights that go underneath, the steps or the retaining wall. So, not only is there just, the standard categories that you see every single day, but there's new categories that are being made and designed on the daily. So it's very cool. But to answer your question, one of the most popular type of categories, you have spotlights to start. I would say the most popular spotlights is mainly used for uplighting the focal parts of the property. So trees, big statues, flags, any part of that's more going to be iconic of the property. That's when you use the spotlights. Then you go to the path lights. The path lights are used for walkways and pathways. A lot of people use them for driveways too, basically to mark down the area so you don't trip. There's no trip hazard, and you can just walk safely at night, essentially. You then go to floodlights. Floodlights get confused a lot with spotlights. The difference with floodlights, they're also called wall washers. They're mainly, the difference with the spotlight is the more of the focal type of beam, where the floodlight, it has a much softer bulb, and it usually has a frosted lens. So the beam is going to be much more diffused, and it's great for rock beds, plant beds, and small walls too.
Okay.
In-ground lights, they're called in-ground well lights too, because they go in the ground, completely submerged, they're flushed. Depending on the cap on the top, you can use them either for path lighting, You can use them for uplighting. There's a lot of different uses for this light depending on the cap that you use on the top. There's different situations where you would use this. Like you don't want to use this for a tree that's going to be losing a lot of leaves in the winter because those leaves fall on top of the well light, so they're going to color it up. In that case, you want to use something like a spotlight that's going to stick out just a little bit more, right? But yeah, like a lot of the well lights are used for pathways, and I like to use them for uplighting walls on like the walls on the house.
Yeah. And also to hit on that note, because we've run into this situation for people that have young kids. I know you mentioned about the leaves falling. Yeah. Obviously, you got to have an uplight that sticks up. But for properties with young kids and they play in the backyard a lot, those in-ground lights for uplights are great too, because they're not knocking them over, they're not dragging stuff and then moving it or breaking it. Yeah. So they're excellent for that uplighting, but in a environment where kids are not going to break them, kind of a thing. Yeah, totally.
And it's not just kids; it's the dogs, it's the gardeners, it's the foot traffic. If you live somewhere like the other day, we did a house where this customer had a lot of foot traffic because he was like right by school. So all the kids that came out of the school, they would like kick over the lights and stuff. So we had to put the in-ground lights there so the kids wouldn't, be playing around with it.
Yeah. Okay. So in-ground, anything else?
There's a lot more. All the lights like sconces, that go on the walls. We do a lot of sconces on the pool cages over on the East Coast, like in Florida. Then we do a lot of 120 volt sconces for like houses in California for that type of style, and the pillar lights too. And then you go into step lighting and the hardscape lighting. Yeah. All of those that go underneath. The hardscape, a lot of people call them undercap lights too. They go like underneath the top stone of the retaining wall. That one is very popular and it's used a lot. Then you go to step lights. That within step lights you have different categories depending on how you want to install these. Some of these come with a junction box in the back, so you need to install them before you do the concrete pour. If you were to have concrete steps. Other step lights that we have are what's called a surface mount light. So you just screw it directly onto like the fascia of the step. So yeah, there's a lot of different types of categories for outdoor lighting for sure.
And then within the category, I tell people a lot because I work a lot more with like the up lights and the path lights, and like you say, there's a lot of other options out there. But, the path lights, you could have a huge range in price because you could have a path light that's just a simple up path light, little umbrella top, and then, shine light. But then you can have it, made out of bronze, very ornate. And so, you can have one light that does the same job, and it could be, $100, $120. But you could have another light that looks way different, maybe made out of a different material, and it could be $300, $400. And it just depends on the look that you want, right? So, and I tell people, the lights that you see, it's going to depend. It's kind of like your Dana mentioned the drippy faucet at your house, but but like a faucet at your home, that people are going to see, you might spend a little bit more money on that faucet because people see it. You want it to be nice. But meanwhile, the faucet in the garage sink, you're going to get the basic faucet.
Who cares?
It works. It puts water out. So there's a huge spectrum in that. We have about a minute.
Yep,
we have about a minute before our next break, Tori. Right. And one of the things I want to get into after the break is, the difference in lights out there too, because like you mentioned before that the lights that you sell, you can change the bulbs in, which is a critical aspect of outdoor landscape lighting, where the lights that they sell at a lot of box stores, they're set in and you can't change the bulbs. It's an LED that's in there. And when you need to change the bulb or the light, you have to change the whole fixture.
Yes.
Which brings us to a whole realm of other things that we are going to talk about. So when we get back from the break, we're going to continue chatting with Tori with Pampa Lighting. I did put the website online.
Yep, it's right there.
So people can click on it and see some of the light fixtures that we may be talking about.
Okay, and we've got one more segment as far as Biz Talk Radio concerned for hour number one here on Garden America, Facebook Live. It's one continuous show. So do stay with us talking about outdoor lighting with Tori, and a lot of great information so far. And hopefully you're learning something so that when you consider this or go out to deal with somebody else, you've got the information and the education behind you. Back after these messages, supporting us, Fertile Home here on Garden America. And just like that, we are back. Hope you had a good break. Thank you, Biz Talk Radio. This, by the way, as I mentioned before the break, the final segment of hour number one, I should say. News coming up top of the hour. We come back at 6 minutes after the hour for hour two on Garden America on Biz Talk Radio. I'm going to toss it to you because I've got to get something out of my mouth. My tongue is getting in the way.
With Tori, with Pampa Lighting. And before the break, I had mentioned you got to be careful because some of the lights that you may buy nowadays from a box store or online, they don't necessarily come with the option to change the bulb. You know, it's not
right.
You know, it's a set-in LED board. They tell you the looms, they tell you the wattage, but you don't have the capacity to be able to change that. So when you buy that, if that ever goes out, you have to buy a whole new fixture. You don't just have to buy a bulb. But at the same time, it doesn't give you the same control over the light that you may per one of the fixtures that you sell, Tori. So why is it important for you to be able to change that bulb?
You know, just going back to your question, there's like two main types of outdoor lighting fixtures, or I wouldn't say outdoor lighting fixtures, but two types of fixtures in general, right? So you have those fixtures where you call them integrated, where the LED is built into the light fixture. So whenever that LED goes out, 5, 6, 7 years, you need to replace the whole light fixture. Where the other category is called drop-in, so it's a drop-in bulb. Essentially, when the LED goes out, instead of replacing a $200 fixture or like a $150 fixture, you just replace a $10 bulb. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that like integrated more. They say you get more of a punch on the lighting. I don't completely agree, and I don't think it's worth it. There are some situations where to have an LED, you need more space within the housing of the light fixture. So there are a couple of situations where there's no way around it. You need an integrated light fixture for those smaller type of lights. Mm. So one of the lights that you'll see out there a lot that's going to be integrated are the step lights. Mm. Yeah. But you just have different types of lights. But yeah, whenever we can stay away from integrated, we do, because as I said before, I think it's much smarter to change out a $10 bulb than a light fixture that's going to cost you $120.
Yeah.
Carla's got a question. Did you see the question?
No, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But also, Tori, being able to change the bulbs gives you options, right? Because they sell different bulbs. Why? What is the difference in bulbs?
Well, in bulbs, you have different type of like specs that come with the bulbs, which when you have a drop-in light fixture, you can play around with the bulb to get the exact light that you want, right? So to give you an example, our spotlights, they come with the 5-watt bulb, 27K, that's the color temperature, and then the beam angle is 36 degrees. So that's like the default bulb. And then when we sell that bulb, if the customer's like, hey, I want more power, I want more lumens, or I want a beam that's going to be a little bit wider, you can change out the bulb. So it kind of allows you to play around to get the best, light effect for your property, right?
Yeah.
Going back to your questions, you have the wattage. So the wattage is related to the lumens, which is going to be how bright the light is. Then you go to color temperature. I would say 95% of the jobs out there that we do or more are 2700 Kelvin. That's like a warm white. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the beam angle, right? So depending on the size of the tree or what you're trying to uplight, you can go with a more narrow beam, which would be a 36-degree beam, or a wider beam, which would be like a 60-degree beam.
Mm. Yeah, and all these make the difference when you're
Yeah.
in that, when they're out there in the landscape, and you're trying to shine up a tree, or maybe a bush. Like you say, you're going to use difference. The color is a huge thing too, because I mean, nowadays it's so hard because a lot of LEDs give it that like blue look. And a lot of times you don't want that for your landscape. You want a warm, natural kind of look. Hey, so the question that came across from Carla is: does your company sell solar lights, or are those dirty words in your industry? What do you think about the solar lights that are out there on the market?
So, solar lights. We don't sell solar lights, but this is my opinion on solar lights. I think solar lights are the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is going to be a move over to solar lights in the future. But what I do think is I don't think the technology is there yet for there to be good solar lights.
Yeah.
So problem with solar lights is they work okay-ish for the probably first 6 months. And then all the light comes out of one single LED. That's the problem with solar lights. So after about 4 or 5 months, you really see the light output of that solar light come down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So are the solar lights good now? No, they're not good. Are they gonna be good? 100%. They're still not there yet, but they will get there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the technology is catching up, but at the same time, like I agree with you, it's not there yet. And also, I almost feel the solar light companies are shooting themselves in the foot because, I mean, like we talk about, you could have a fixture and it could be $120, okay? The solar light fixtures that you see out there, like, $8, $10, and it's like it'd probably be better off putting something really good together and selling it for $120 than to have their price point be so low that, like you say, they're just putting out ones that you're going to change every 6 months or 8 months because they're just not that good.
The other problem with that is not just how much light it gets out or the quality of the light fixture, it's the looks, because when you have a solar light, you need to have that solar panel.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
let's be honest, that panel does not look good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's another kind of tricky part for the solar lights, how they design a good quality light that the solar panel kind of blends into the design of the fixture.
Yeah. Which
again, I said, like, we're still a long way away from that, I think.
Yeah. So, hey, we are going to have to take another break right now.
Got a news break coming up.
We got a news break. When we get back, we're going to talk about some of Tori's favorite light fixtures that he has on his website and how people can buy them.
And again, those on Facebook Live, any more questions, comments as we come back after the news break on Biz Talk Radio to wrap things up with Tori. But get your questions in now. And after that, after Tori, it's going to be Tiger and myself for the rest of the show, so do stay with us, obviously. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, and again, coming up on Biz Talk Radio News, top of the hour, 6 minutes after we come back, and much quicker on Facebook Live. John is off this week. I'm Brian Main. Tiger Palafox, welcome. Thank you for joining us here on Garden America. Well, we are back. If you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio and just joining the show, this is hour 2. Welcome. Those on Facebook Live that come and go, we appreciate you for hanging in there as we get back to our conversation with Tori, outdoor lighting, and then wrapping things up. Tiger?
Yeah, so Tori, your website, pampalighting.com, people can go on there, shop the different fixtures. You have the price right there. Can people buy directly from the website?
Yeah, so the people buy directly from the website, and then contractors and designers, developers have the option to create a contractor account. Mm-hmm. We have 2 different programs, one for contractors, one for designers. Contractors get a discount on, the product price, get the free shipping on all the orders, get a better customer service, a couple of other perks. And then designers, since we don't sell to local distributors, we don't get the exposure that all of our competitors get by being on the shelves. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we created this designer program where we pay designers to spec out our product. So every time a designer specs out our product and then a third-party contractor buys the lights, we give that designer a commission.
Oh, okay.
That's basically to make up for the lack of exposure that we have by not selling to the local distributors.
Got it. What are some of your favorite lights that you guys do sell?
So one of the things that has been very trendy right now are the light fixtures with the two-tone color. So if there's called Stelvio BAB. So BAB stands out for black antique brass. So it's a light fixture that has a little bit of, so it's like a black light fixture with the antique brass details. And I just think it looks very modern. It's been selling very well. So we're the only company that has that. So that's been very popular. So the Stelvio BAB Spotlight, Stelvio SH BAB Pathlight, those have been very, very good products that just came out, and they've been selling very well.
Okay.
Other lights that's very, very trendy right now that it's been a boom probably in the last 4 or 5 months have been the strip lights. Strip lights is something that's very trendy right now, and we almost do strip lighting on every single project. So those sell very, very well. I like the strip lights. The one that's called Neon Sideflex. It's a strip light that bends. So when you have those 90-degree corners on those steps, there's no need to cut it. It just bends sideways. So whenever you're doing the installation, it's so easy to do.
Okay. And so with the strip light, is it the same kind of principles as the other lights where you can use that 12 volt line and then connect it to the end of the strip light? Now, can it be incorporated? Like, can you continue that line and then have uplights on that same, or does it have to be a dedicated line?
That's a great question, Tiger. Well, most of the companies out there that manufacture strip lights do what's called a 24 volt DC current. It's just like the specs of it. When you do 24 DC, you need to have a separate line with a separate transformer just for the strip lights.
Right.
That makes the whole installation process a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive because you need to waste a lot more wire, and then you need to get a new transformer just for the strip lights, right? When we design these, since we already sell, the light fixtures that are 12 volts AC, we wanted to make sure that the strip lights that we design are 12 volts AC, right? So we did a lot of research, a lot of development, and, the two main models that we have right now on the website are 12 volts AC, which, to answer your question, yes, they can go connected to the same line in the same transformer.
Nice.
So that way, for whoever's doing, the strip lighting, you can connect it to the same line as the spotlights and pathlights and all the other lights.
That's amazing because, like you said, we ran into that problem all the time where people want to have that strip light, but they didn't realize that you had to have a completely different lighting system to incorporate that, and it was difficult to make it all work together. So that's awesome. That's so
100%.
And even if you do have an existing lighting system with a transformer, this is something that you can add on to it. So that makes it awesome as well. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to do a new install with all of the products that you have. It could be add on to there as well, which again, I want to mention, because 12 volts pretty plug and play, even if people have an existing system, the products you sell, they can be incorporated into what they have now, right?
Yeah, of course. As long as the transformer is 12 volts AC, which I would say like 99% of them are, you can add our lights to your existing system. No problem.
Cool. Hey, lots of good information. I shared the website. People go on and cruise the different products. People can order them online, work with your favorite contractor or designer as well. And you're updating stuff all the time. I mean, this is always changing, so there's always new styles, new colors, all that stuff, right? So, the website where you visit today might be different in a month from now.
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much for joining us, Tori. Have a great rest of the weekend.
I appreciate you guys having me on today.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
Good
job.
stuff.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Well,
see, add a whole nother element to your patio there, Brian.
here's the deal. We have listeners and viewers all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not all going to have access to Tori.
Mm-hmm.
But what he explained and what he told us this morning, you can now take that information to wherever you go, and you have an arsenal of information to make the right decision, to ask the right questions to whoever you deal with. Because I learned a lot. I mean, this is great that you don't have to be, somebody walking around with $100,000 in your pocket to set up a good system with the technology that's available today.
And you don't have to have all the ins and outs and knowledge, that, it might be good to have a professional lighting person out there to help you. But like if you're just trying to do something simple and light a couple trees, you could do it yourself.
And you can get creative.
Yeah.
With that.
And that whole rope light and strip light that he mentioned, that is a big thing because that is something very popular right now.
People have them in their houses. They have them in their rooms.
Yeah.
I've got one across the bottom of my aquarium.
Yeah.
It's like 5 feet.
Yeah, but that one has to be plugged in to an outlet.
It does.
And it has a little transformer box that came with it, right? And everything else. Well, the beauty behind his system is it was difficult in the past to incorporate those into the landscape. Mm-hmm. But it seems like nowadays they've found a great product that you can just, if you already have an existing landscape lighting system, you just plug this into that.
Let's get back to the solar lighting he talked about.
Oh, yeah.
This is funny.
Yeah.
Because a year ago, for the past couple of years, I've gone to the dollar store.
Yeah.
And they sell those, those little solar, right?
Yes.
And they last about a year.
Yeah.
Okay, they're $1.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's right in terms of how long the solar is going to last and how they eventually will fade away. Well, we've had these now for over a year.
Yeah.
And just by luck, they look as good as they have.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Different times of the year, angle of the sun.
Less.
But,
okay.
I mean, I know they're $1. I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's right about the long term with solar in terms of that. And I would imagine, too, with solar, once they get it down, they could go on and off by themselves, right?
They do. They do go on and off by themselves.
But I mean, without having to hook up a timer.
Well, they do already because usually what they have, and this is something that is good to know for the landscape lighting people too.
Right.
Is there's a couple ways for your system to turn on and off. Okay, so you can manually turn it on and off. Either hook it up to a light switch or something where you can turn it on and turn it off manually. You can set it on a timer where it turns on at 8 p.m. and turns off at 2 a.m. You can put it on a photocell, and this is where the solar ones come into play. A photocell senses daylight, and when it gets to a minimum lighting amount, the system turns on, and then when the light comes back out, then the system turns off. That's or you can do a hybrid of both where maybe you want it to turn on when it's dark, but you don't want it on all night. So you set it to turn off at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m.
Right.
So those are the ways that the systems can be controlled. But the device that you're incorporating with the solar is what's called a photocell, and you can incorporate those into your timers.
Yeah. So many ways to go.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're close enough to a break, so let's take the break right now. Okay, back with Brian and Tiger. Whatever's on your mind, what do you want to talk about? We'll try to catch up, Tiger, on some of the comments and some of the questions here on Facebook Live and Biz Talk Radio. And a big thank you to our major sponsor, Fertilome. We're going to put a link to Fertilome. We talked about that, Tiger. We want you to support our major sponsor as much as possible here on Garden America. Back after these messages. See, just like that, if you're on Facebook Live, that was about a 5-second break. A bit longer on Biz Talk Radio, but we do appreciate our sponsors, those who support the show. And again, kudos and a big shout-out to Fertilome here on Garden America. So support the Fertilome products. If you have any questions, we're going to be having a rep on from Fertilome in the not-too-distant future. But whatever's on your mind in terms of Fertilome, extensive line of products, not just fertilizer, but so much more as we have discussed in the past.
The outdoor lighting topic is a big thing for a lot of people with this whole I forget what it's called, but in Arizona it's called like a dark sky city or something like that.
You mean when you're out beyond?
Well, what they're finding is a lot of our urban areas are very they have a lot of light pollution. They have a lot of light pollution.
I think Carla mentioned that in terms of not being able to see the stars anymore.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's what, we're kind of getting at with is that, you're supposed to have lights turned off at night because, there's animals, there's the idea of being able to see the stars.
It's a natural thing that's supposed to occur.
Yeah. And so, when it comes to the landscape lighting, yeah, that is something that, you do want to consider. And that's why I said maybe it's on from, dusk to 8 or 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And then turn it off.
Turn it off when you go to bed. But here's the thing: you can. There's enough lights out there that you can tone it down too. I would imagine.
Well, that's just it. Is a lot of the light. We're not telling you to completely illuminate your backyard so you can see it from space.
These aren't spotlights.
But if you can have a couple lights that accent some trees and maybe illuminate some areas that you may trip if you're working through the yard, then that's all you kind of really need to have.
Tiger, do you recall, and I'm not sure when these were phased out, and I know that there was probably good reason. Do you remember, like, let's say there was a grand opening someplace?
Those big,
the big searchlights.
I think they had them going on at Snapdragon last night because they have that women's soccer game going on this weekend.
Because I have not seen those.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, for miles away, you'd see them, and you'd go, I wonder what's happening over there.
That's
and
why.
It would be like a supermarket or a mall grand opening or some car lot. And these things were like, it was like the bat light.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was stationary, obviously. But you could see these things for miles. You don't see
them as often.
You don't see them as often anymore.
Yeah.
And they would really pinpoint a location. Is there such a thing as light pollution?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering because you don't, and they were lit by like you couldn't really stare into it much, like a candle.
Like a candle?
Well,
what are you talking about? There's no candle that can do that. They were lit by giant light bulbs.
Not a fire candle, but it was a different kind of a bulb that looked and was shaped kind of like a candle, putting off all this light energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. You didn't light a match, and
you had to tow those trailers behind a truck.
But I just don't. You don't. But you thought you saw them?
So
the other night?
Yeah, they're having that big event at Snapdragon this weekend. It's the She Believes soccer tournament.
Right.
And they're it's funny living over there by Snapdragon. I see a lot of the prep work that they do before events. So they have to like practice their lighting. They have to practice their video boards and all that other stuff.
It's like a dress rehearsal.
It is, and so I see them doing that. And last night when I looked over there, I
saw searchlights?
Saw searchlights. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
speaking of lighting,
yeah,
they measure horsepower with engines, and I think there is a way they measure light, like
lumens.
Lumen candle.
Yeah,
lumen
it's
or
candlelight.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like you say, horsepower. Yeah,
and that's what I remember with these searchlights. You just don't see them much anymore, but you could see them for a long way.
Yeah,
and they would draw your attention.
1,000 candles, 10,000 candles.
Exactly. Are we caught up? I have to keep turning my head to look at the computer here.
Oh, I think we're caught up. There were a few things I was going to read. Carlo was mentioning the whole light pollution thing, you can turn off your lights, but you can't turn off the city's lights, which, I think the cities are becoming more savvy to it. And like I said, I know for a fact in Arizona, they have a rule that, you cannot have so much light in a commercial building, in a private residence, and all that other stuff, because they do try to keep the sky
tone it
dark. Down. Maybe our listener from Tucson can tell us what's that.
Well, that's why when you drive out to the mountains at night, when you're way away, and you look up and you can see the Milky Way, you can see so much of what you don't normally see, obviously, within the city.
Yeah, exactly. And then John and Bonnie Livingston, we use strip lights to accent outdoor steps at night, and they work great.
And you can bend them. That's the key. You can bend them as well.
Yeah, they can fit into everything. Lisa wrote that her ACE, where she lives, carries Fertilome. So
very
make
good.
sure to go in there and
ACE
buy your
Fertilome.
And Veronica mentions that she remembers those spotlights. Searchlights use a carbon arc to create the light. One huge candle, as you were saying.
You were making
Brian.
fun of me.
Well, I mean, you were saying it was a candle.
No, you know what? The listeners and viewers have explained it perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think we're all kind of caught up. as you said, spring is right around the corner. Things are starting to bloom. We have not gotten the rain that we normally have, but that didn't stop things when we did get that rain to start turning into spring.
Right.
So things are starting now.
I just hope we get a little more. We need some more.
We need a little more.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no doubt about it.
So now is when you start, at least myself, maybe you, go outside a little more, look around what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Before
stay on
too
the
long,
weeds. Stay on the weeding.
Yeah, stay on the
for
weeding.
me.
Before too long, you'll be needing to water a little more.
Yeah.
Hopefully not for a month or two.
Yeah.
Inland, yeah, probably even sooner.
I was out in Poway this week, and they had a massive Santa Ana wind blowing through there.
Yeah.
And it was very dry and very warm.
Because
So,
even yesterday, it was windy.
yeah.
I go out for a couple of walks during the day around the complex, and I'm like, where did this wind come from?
Yeah. So, yeah, that hot, dry wind will definitely wick out moisture of plants real quick. So make sure to stay on top of the watering for that.
Yeah.
Because it's always good to keep your plants well hydrated, right, Brian? That's how you like to.
Well hydrated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But don't overwater. You have more problems overwatering sometimes than you do keeping up on the water. Most plants will tell you.
Yeah.
There's indicator plants, obviously, that droop and
Yeah.
let you know. Sun patients, I think, are one of those.
Yeah, you talk about those.
That will tell you, I need water, so maybe my buddies around me need water as well.
Yeah.
But just anybody that's been doing this for any amount of time knows.
Well, and you kind of learn the schedule of the plants, that, when they come out, are they going to need more water? They start emerging flowers or leaves. You can kind of go from there. But I love it when the plants become naturally accustomed to wherever they're at. Those paintbrush lilies that John gave me a few years back. Now where I had one, there's 3 blooms.
I've got 4 blooms on my big one.
Oh, really?
Unbelievable.
Nice.
And this started off in a little,
Yeah.
I think about a year ago, I transplanted it,
Yeah.
and it just took off. I mean, it's huge. I can't even pick it up to move it. It would
Yeah.
take a couple of people to pick it up, put it in a big pot, and I've got 3 or 4 blooms on there. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
We got to
that's
take a
fun.
break.
All right.
We've got 2 more segments, quick show, whatever's on your mind. Always, we're open for business here. Facebook Live, questions, comments. Love to hear from you. John is off this week. He's back next week. We'll catch up with John next week. We're going to take a break. I'm Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. This is Garden America. We have returned from the break. It is Garden America. We thank you for joining us. Hope your weekend's off to a good start. Many of you begin your weekend with us. We appreciate that, spending part of your time. And again, John back next week. He's up at the LA Arboretum, and we'll find out about the rose situation happening up there. John will give us details. We always encourage him to call us, but,
Yeah. He always forgets about us.
Yeah.
John and Bonnie posted, this is something good for people to know. Up in Rogers Gardens in Newport Beach, Tomato Mania is going on right now.
Oh, you had one?
No, we have not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Happened in a few weeks down here in San Diego. But, Tomato Mania, great event.
Sure.
A lot of opportunity to get some new varieties, some different varieties of tomato plants, get you going for the season. So if you're in Newport area, go visit Roger Gardens.
You must have a sweet one. One of your favorites?
Sweet aperitif.
We talked about, I think.
A good one.
Yeah, we did talk about that. I think, was that one you gave me a couple of years ago?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, John really enjoys that one too.
Yeah.
But then there's the Sun Gold,
Sun
the
Sugars
Sweet
is
100,
one. Yeah.
all those other ones too. I am not a huge sweet tomato fan, so meaning, I'll get one for the season, but usually my focus is going to be more on the slicing tomatoes.
Now, slicing tomatoes are excellent for like hamburgers and whatnot.
I just do salt, a little bit of salt on mine.
You're one of those,
and
huh?
I eat those, yeah.
I'm just thinking to get really creative, if I could get a hold of a real sweet tomato.
Yeah.
And prepare, like, let's say a hamburger or something for somebody and not even tell them what I'm doing, if they would go, wow, this is a different taste. What is this?
So that would be a challenge, though, because you'd have to get a sweet slicing tomato.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of the sweet ones come more cherry.
They're small.
And they're small.
But if you could get a sweet slicing tomato.
Yeah.
And
or you can get a sweet tomato and turn it into more of like a salsa that you can put on the burger.
There you go.
So it's more like not a paste, but like, like a,
now,
then it would be sweet.
Are there sweet slicing tomatoes?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to
How
have.
about that? You know what? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, we'll have to have them on from Tomato Mania and see what the sweetest slicing tomato
or
is.
if somebody's working on that.
Yeah. Or
You
somebody's
know?
working on it in a lab, like you say. Like you always like to envision them in little coats.
They got their coats on.
And they got their goggles.
And there's steam and beakers and
yeah, and
chemistry
there's things bubbling. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. They have those metal tubes going.
Did you?
Those
this
glass
is
tubes.
Probably before your time. You remember chemistry sets?
Yeah.
All right.
Before my time. Chemistry's been around since.
No, I mean that they sell to kids back in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. The ones that actually had things that blew up and stuff.
That had poison in them
yeah.
and would
Yeah,
blow
like
up.
mercury and all kinds of good
And
stuff.
boy, the things we did back when the good old days when you had lawn darts
Yeah, exactly.
and slip and slides.
When you actually could create an explosive from the chemistry set that you bought at Target.
Right, and maybe even accidentally put it in your mouth and taste it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those chemistry sets, they had crazy stuff in them.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
You can go back and you can research commercials on YouTube. And there's a guy that's got a channel, and all he runs is commercials from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Oh, really?
And you're thinking to yourself, wow. Those products are long gone.
And that really existed for a while.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
yeah, it was real.
We laugh at it, but it's like, no. That was a real thing.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
were selling, you know, these items.
when we were kids, too, we would get bows and arrows.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a
That
grassy,
were not, they did not have the suction cups at the
these,
end
these
of them.
were
These
real.
were real bow
And there was
arrow.
a big grassy area at the Catamaran Hotel back in the day before
Uh-huh.
they, all the construction. And we would go there and like point them up in the air and shoot it as high as we could.
Yeah.
Where's it going to land? We don't know. Hopefully close. It's probably just as irresponsible as taking a gun and firing it up in the air
Oh, gosh.
and hoping the bullet doesn't land on
somewhere.
somebody.
Yeah,
But-
on someone.
But the
yeah.
things we did as kids that,
Yeah.
and nowadays it's
Yeah. Exactly. Nowadays, they took all the fun out of it. all the life-threatening
you
fun.
mean like riding in the back of a pickup truck with no seat belts and
Yeah. But I mean, it's funny because, back to kind of gardening, it goes back to some of those weird things that used to exist. And I mean, we've talked about a number of chemicals and products, over the years that have come and gone, whether it's bugs or fertilizers. But even then, if and we've talked about the plants, meaning, we talked about eucalyptus trees, and we've talked about these giant hedge trees that it's like, no, these are not smart to plant in our landscapes, in our yards. But even then, there's the really, obscure products out there. I mean, that have come and gone. Nursery cans used to be metal. They used to be metal cans with these really jagged, sharp edges on them. And just the idea that you used to buy things in bare root, where you take it home and it was wrapped in paper bag. And
you talked about chemicals. I remember as a kid in the garage,
oh yeah,
fertilizers, I guess, in a almost like a beer bottle color, brown, with a skull and crossbones.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what the product was. I think I had enough sense to stay away from it. But, just throw it on the shelf someplace. Anybody could get their hands on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's evolution of our knowledge of these things over the years. But even then, when it comes to gardening tools, whether it's saws or pruners or different tools as well that people use in the garden, we're evolving every year with how to make them work better,
right?
Or what works better and what doesn't, and then that's I'm still waiting for the self-digging shovel though. It's just not there yet.
There's a difference between a better product and a product that is safer. Sometimes they go together.
True.
Sometimes they go together, but sometimes because it has to be safer for new regulations, it can become an irritant. I remember back in the 90s. Doing a whole new renovation on our house.
Okay.
Almost top to bottom. And the guys tell me, okay, we're putting in these new toilets. And they're
they're like the low flow California
flow.
rules.
I'm like, what do you mean low flow? He goes, well, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And so he showed me, and I went, are you sure everything went down? He goes, yeah. But compared to the old ones,
yeah. Yeah.
So there was something to conserve water.
Yeah.
But in terms of convenience and in terms of is it better? Well, not really. Now we're used to it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know the difference. And that was 30 years ago. Low flow toilets.
Low flow shower heads. Remember those too?
Yeah, trying to get enough water pressure.
Yeah, exactly. You're like the little hoses spitting on you to take a shower.
You know, speaking of what you said something a few minutes ago about we've learned not to plant those in certain areas.
Yeah.
Now, were you referring to close to the house, close to the sidewalk?
Yeah, just in general,
Right?
Like, I mean,
root systems,
it just
things
depends. Yeah, it could be close to your house, could be close to your sidewalk, could be just in your yard. You know, if you've got a small yard, having a 60-foot tree that's going to have a 30-foot canopy is probably not the best
Well, there was
move.
a eucalyptus tree as you come down the steps, the pathway to our house, right to the right, which we had them take out, I'm going to guess 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're talking about close to the house and the foundation.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, I was at a house in La Jolla this week, and I was walking through. They were asking me questions, and I saw their water meter on the street where it was, and they had a Washington palm starting right there. I feel like it was attached to the water meter.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, you guys, you got to get this out ASAP. Like, they didn't live there either.
So it's an older tree, right? Older.
I mean, no, it's a new one. It was only about 4 feet tall. But I was saying they don't live there. I'm like, this could ultimately break your water meter, and you could have water flooding for hours before anybody gets to there.
Wow.
And it's not going to be an easy shut off. So I said, you gotta remove that ASAP. But they just were like, oh, they just thought, it was a volunteer, and they just were like, oh, it wasn't bad. And I'm like, no, this is not good. And then there was one across the street. I said, that's what it's going to turn into.
We've got about a minute until the break. We've got some comments and questions. I want to make sure we spend most of the next segment, which is our final segment, catching up on whatever we did miss. So hang in there. I'm referring, of course, to those on Facebook Live. We've got about a minute. Is there one you can answer, Tiger, that you see quickly before the break, and we can carry it over if we have to?
Received a pot of tulips for Valentine's Day. How can I keep the tulips for next year? Will they grow in Allied Gardens? You could, but you have to dig them out and refrigerate them next year.
They have to be cooled because
they
they're bulbs.
have to be cooled. Otherwise, they will not bloom. So we can get into that a little bit more after the break. But the short answer is yes, you could. The long answer is a lot more work than you think.
Yeah, do you want to do that? You want to do that? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. One more segment to close out the show, I should say, and we'll get to your questions, your comments on Facebook Live. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, this is, and always will be, still is Garden America. Take care. Coming back. Okay, we are right back from that break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for supporting our sponsors. Big thank you to Fertilome. And again, let's see what we have in store for the Facebook questions and comments. Tiger, we talked about tulips just before the break.
All right. So back to the tulip question. So tulip bulbs, like some other bulbs, require chill to be able to bloom again.
So many hours of chill, right?
Yes. And so in Allied Gardens in Southern California, we do not get that chill. So, where they are naturalized, they'll have snow and they'll have frost, and you can leave them in the ground, and the next season the tulips will come up. Because that doesn't happen here in Southern California, what you have to do is simulate winter. So what that means is right around December, you would go out there, dig up your tulips, put them into a paper bag, throw that in the back of your refrigerator for about 3 months or so.
So make sure you have room.
Yeah.
Make room for them.
And then you can take them out of the refrigerator, put them back in the ground, and then they would come back up and they would bloom. And, you could do that.
But you got to replant them again. Would you just not want to go out and buy more bulbs?
Well, that's just the thing is, the bulbs that you purchase from a garden center or online normally, they should be listed as what's called pre-chilled. So they've already been refrigerated, or they've been grown in an area where the chill has been done. And so when you buy them, they will bloom every year. So it just depends on how important that bulb is to you and how much energy you want to put into it.
It's like orchids.
Yeah.
You want to just buy another one when this one dies, or
yeah,
has seen better days?
Exactly. So I think that answers the question. And there's a whole group of bulbs that follow those same principles. So watch out for those. Marguerite wrote she loved the pineapple tomato. It was sweet and large, and
that's true. Yeah,
there is a few tomatoes with the name pineapple in it, and that are usually larger, and they do usually have a very sweet flavor to it. So that's a good recommendation. Is anyone selling grafted tomatoes anymore? You know what, Carla? I'm not sure. I don't see them, and we do not. So I think that's kind of a tough thing to find. But log house plants. Where was that? Was it Oregon?
In Oregon, yeah,
we
were
still
there
doing them
several years
Alice,
ago. Right, Alice
up there. So if you maybe reach out, she might have some people that are still selling them that you can buy them online from. But log house plants. So check with Alice at Log House. And not Veronica. Thomas wrote the old Hollywood searchlights were called Klieg and used carbon rods. Most today's searchlights use xenon, mercury, or argon gas.
See, I knew we bring up a topic and someone's going to explain it to us and clear the air.
Yep, exactly. So I think we're all caught up right there then.
Okay, we've got let's see, 4 or 5, so about 4 minutes.
Sue just said I have a hard time throwing away plants away, which again, you have that same problem, Brian.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to do it.
Sometimes you got to cut the cord.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you just
make a break.
Yeah, and I mean, if you pick something to replace it that makes you happy, you don't remember the old plant.
No.
You don't remember the old plant that you didn't like and didn't do well for you or was struggling. You just only see that new, beautiful, wonderful plant that you're happy is there. So think about that.
Unless you've got some nostalgic thing tied to it was a gift from so-and-so or these were given to me in remembrance of.
No, and those are very important to keep.
Absolutely.
If that was a tulip that was given to you and it's a memory,
sure,
you're going to do everything you need to do to keep that tulip alive and healthy and fun, and you're going to dig it up every year and you're going to replant it every year. But if it's just a tulip that you bought at the grocery store because you thought it was pretty and you were like, I'm not going to dig this up every year.
Get a new one.
Yeah.
Get a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
So as everybody asks me on a Saturday, what's in store for you now after the show?
Got soccer. Last soccer game of the season for Isaac. He's got a sleepover birthday tonight. And
it's his birthday or somebody else's?
No, it's a friend's. We got lacrosse in the morning. Tasia had her middle school dance last night.
Gosh.
It's fun-filled weekend, and then, yard work. Like I said, I'm going to be weeding this weekend. I'm going to get out there and weed, stay on top of things.
Yeah, because it's moist, right?
Yep, it's easy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not sure anybody's ever said this, but you have to be in shape to have kids, especially kids your age.
Yeah.
You got to be in shape because you're always going.
You don't realize.
You have a schedule, I'm sure, in the house, right?
Yeah.
And soccer, lacrosse.
Every once in a while, I have a little break, and all of a sudden, I'm like, I have all this energy, and I can't go to sleep, and I'm like, well, it's because I haven't been running around all day like I normally am. So it's
go
funny.
outside and do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Fix something.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do. You going to fix something?
I'm going to buy bathroom lighting because the fixture up there, this one light bulb keeps, well, not one, there's several. They keep burning out or they just don't stay very long, and they're LEDs.
Yeah.
So there's a problem.
You think it's the fixture, yeah.
It's that little circuit there's 4 lights. So it's that one individual.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I'm going to go out and buy another one.
Yeah.
And put it up because. And then I'm going to seriously look at the paver situation in the patio.
Yeah.
Would love to have something done by the summer. We got the fountain there. We just have to move the plants.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have to move the plants for that work, but that's something. And just get ready for the warm weather. Yeah. Get ready, A little bit of rain, a little warm weather.
I did a commercial this past week, which I thought was a little silly because the opening sentence was, summer's right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Spring is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Summer is a little bit off in the future. And I thought, you're getting ahead of yourself.
We have a whole season you're bypassing.
Well, it was talking about summer season, kids, and activities and things like that. I would have written it this way. With summer not too far away,
Yeah.
not right around the corner.
They want that sense of urgency, though. They want to. That was probably
Stop
a
rushing
summer.
me.
It was a summer camp, and it's stressing out us all parents to sign our kids up for all the summer camps.
I know. Everyone's getting rushed.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting rushed.
Exactly.
4th of July decorations up already.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're gonna call it quits, or at least close out this show for this week. This particular segment, this particular show of Garden America. John is back next week. He's in Los Angeles this weekend. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for joining us. We talked about lighting today, outdoor lighting. Learned a lot. Enjoy it, like I say, the rest of your weekend. Have a safe week, and we'll reconvene next week right here in the iHeart Media and Entertainment Studios located right here in San Diego, California. I'm Brian Main. He's Tiger Palafox. We'll see you next week right here on Garden America. Take care.